Hello, welcome to Nifty-Keen. I'm Sean, and I'm here today to offer my completely unsolicited opinion on Zelda Breath of the Wild. And it's an opinion that I think, I don't know, it's probably divisive, but I feel like we need to think a little bit about, when you think about hype, and people get hyped a bit too often and a bit too easily. And while it's exciting when a Zelda game comes around. That's exciting news, they don't come often. And when it does happen, you're thinking, oh, gee, Nintendo, they're really, it's a big deal. They don't do it often, and they work really hard in it, and they try to do something big every time. And it's definitely, I think, Nintendo's sort of passion project, like in a way that every time they make a release of Zelda, it seems like a lot more effort goes into that than if they try to release, say, like a new, like Super Mario or Animal Crossing. I don't know, like Smash Brothers, I guess. But like, Zelda is always that epic journey, and it's in video games. They're always about the epic journey, yeah. And for this new Zelda game to be taking on almost like a different genre of adventure, it's exciting news. It's cool to see, but I just sort of want to, I think we should have an air of caution in this case, because, we're not really seeing anything substantial. And I understand so far that they've sort of communicated that what we've seen is early and unfinished, and they've taken things away. But that doesn't mean that what we're seeing is necessarily still worth getting too excited about. Like, what have we seen so far? We've seen exploration. We've seen a very pretty world. We've seen definitely something very Shadow of the Colossus / Minecraft vibe, which, that's great. I'm down for that. But what I look at when I see that is I'm thinking, like, what's the longevity of this? How long is this going to be fun for? There's lots of talk about systems-based video games, since this has been released, and people compare it to these sorts of like physics engine sort of games, sort of sandboxes, and you can manipulate the world in such a way, like, you're picking up objects and, you're freezing objects and hitting them a bunch of times, like we saw in the trailers, and then they go flying when you unstick them, which is all really neat stuff. But it's a very different style of puzzle solving, isn't it? And it makes me a bit sort of cautious. I mean, like, how much puzzle sort of solving can you do with that? And I think it's such a departure from Zelda that I'm a little skeptical. I hope that they can do it. I hope that they can, but this is Nintendo's first time trying to do something like this, and they haven't proven in the past, like the recent sort of past, that they can really do that. The best Zelda games have always been the traditional ones, and people always say, oh, Zelda needs to do something different, but is this the different that we expected? Is this the different that we're going to discover that we want? I'm not entirely sure. I think about puzzle games like Myst, those sort of, the sort of Myst series. Like Riven was like such a darling game to me. I adored that, and eventually I even beat it, which is one of my grandest achievements. But that's unrelated to this video. But what I'm saying is, like, to me, puzzles have always been that sort of feeling. And I feel like that's why a lot of gamers who were way into Zelda have moved on to things like Dark Souls, because I feel like Dark Souls is a game that's fulfilling an itch that a lot of people aren't getting from Zelda, which is that sort of exploring vast dungeons and with curses and monsters, and this feeling of being lost that I feel like you get as a kid and you lose as an adult. And I feel like that's something to do with the nostalgia of not understanding a world. I remember the creator of Dark Souls, whose name completely eludes me, said that his main inspiration for Dark Souls was reading Western fantasy novels as a child in English, and due to his limited knowledge of the English language, he could only pick up so many bits, and so his vision of what he was reading was so much more grotesque and scary and dark and mysterious than what is in the actual stories. And that's where his vision of Dark Souls came from. And I feel like that childlike fear sort of translates when you're used to playing a game as a kid. And Nintendo is so cheery and happy now. They have changed a bit as a company. They're a lot more approachable than they used to be. I mean, every now and then you might get a Majora's Mask, but I don't know. I want the adventure. I want the fear, and I might be too old for Zelda. Maybe that's all it is. But I'd like to know what you think. Let me know your opinion. I don't know why, I just felt like recording this and sharing my thoughts, because I see a lot of positivity towards the new Zelda game, and I think that's great. Cool. Get excited if you want to, but it's good to think about it a little bit deeper than that, and think like, why am I excited, and what do I really want to see, and what have we actually been shown? We'll see how we go. Not much longer until it comes out. I believe it comes out in March, if I recall correctly. So, hey, we'll see. And X is coming. Don't know what they'll call that. Probably call it something stupid, like the Wii. Ugh. Thanks, Nintendo. Bye, guys.